Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and today Hail Trace is dressed in green for our 5-star hail map. Yesterday afternoon, we saw a major, actually not just one, but 2 major hailstorms come into Wichita, Kansas, and did some really big impacts. We had baseball-sized hail. We had 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts in this area. We had some really impressive storms. So let's go ahead and let's break down that storm, and then we're going to get into the tropics, and we're going to get into the forecast later on today. So let's talk about Wichita first. Baseball-sized hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Let's break down what we saw yesterday in Kansas. Let me tell you how fast these storms formed. At 4:40, we had nothing on the radar. No, this is the radar. This is not a mistake. At 4:50, we saw our first few blips of this storm, and by 5 o'clock we had a significant severe thunderstorm warning. Those areas highlighted there in yellow and hatched with black. That means that we were seeing at least golf ball size hail, if not larger. So just within 20 minutes, this storm exploded, and this was our hail maker right here. Salina, Kansas, and then just down I-35 is where we saw this storm. Watch this as it evolves later on into the evening. By 5:40, we had a cluster of storms, but if we wanted to see this storm sustain itself and go all the way down into Kansas, it needed to be isolated. What actually happened here is we had 2 storms as we saw this go into McPherson, Kansas. This also producing baseball-sized hail at this point, and it was not stopping there. Newton, Kansas, continuing with that baseball-sized hail, and Wichita saw this coming. They were saying, okay, for the last hour, maybe hour and a half, this storm has been producing baseball-sized hail, or right around that size, maybe smaller at times, maybe larger, but it kind of oscillated back and forth as these storms pulsated and went through their life cycle. Wichita knew it was coming, and we also knew that we had some strong wind speeds with this as well. So ahead of this storm, Wichita just put the entire city under that significant severe thunderstorm warning. That area highlighted in yellow with those black lines hatched through there. What that means is that we were going to see some significant and very impactful weather. Within the terms of the National Weather Service, they were saying with potential considerable damage. So let's go ahead and continue here as we headed into the evening hours. The sun was about to set, and we had not 1, but 2 storms coming into Wichita just off of I-35 here. This first storm I actually thought was pretty interesting, and we're going to go through both of these storms here. But this one produced some of the larger hail that we saw right in the north central portion of the city. Now, the wind with this first storm was not as impressive as the second storm. So whenever the second storm came through, mainly on the west side of the city, in places like the Sedgwick County Zoo, and places like the northwestern area of town, and then all the way down near 235 into the southwestern portion of the town, what really happened in this area was strong wind speeds. We saw 65, 70, and the National Weather Service even questioned up to 75-mile-per-hour wind speeds in this area. As this came through, again, baseball-sized hail and up to 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds, very impressive storm. What had happened here was this storm shredded trees, shredded the leaves on the trees, knocking them down, and then of course the wind blowing those across the road. And we've got some pictures and videos for you here in just a minute, but I want to talk about the length of this hail really quick, the length of the hail swath really quick. I'm going to skip this for just a minute. Okay, watch this. So I just showed you this line of storms. It was actually 3 storms that started in Salina near I-70 and then tracked down 135 into Wichita, basically dissipating or weakening after it tracked to the south of Wichita. This, of course, produced hail just about the entire way down for over 100 miles. That's why I titled the forecast today, 100 miles of hail. Very impressive there, but I do want to go back to our hailstorm highlight, a 5-star hailstorm. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at those polygons. So if you head over to hailtrace.com, you see a map that looks like this. Now you can zoom down a little bit more into these areas and really get a good idea, block by block, what happened in these areas. But you can see that these storms started in Salina and then tracked all the way down the highway there into Wichita. Some of the most impressive storm coverage was in McPherson, Kansas. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer down there. There you go. You can see Wichita. You can see Sedgwick on there as well. We've got Newton a little bit farther up to the north. Let me read off some of these statistics here. Our max hail size was 3 inches in size. That's a little bit larger than the size of a baseball. Also, homes impacted, 200,000 structures impacted with this large hail swath. Again, over 100 miles of hail yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those pictures and videos that we got from yesterday. You can see on here that we had some strong wind speeds, but not only that, a gorgeous storm. Some people were calling this the mothership as it moved into Wichita because it was laid out like a pancake, or layers of pancakes rather, as it very, very quickly moved into Wichita. Not only did we see that large hail, but we also saw those strong wind speeds. So we had tree limbs down in many, many places. And then of course that hail just shredded leaves. And so we saw just a blanket of leaves on the ground as well. All right, now I'm going to be quiet for a minute and I want you to listen to this video. We have some just phenomenal video.
This is what I've been waiting for.
Well, ain't that some shit? Thought I was going to sit outside and be protected from the hail. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Wow. I was just watching that video along with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed some of that video that we found yesterday. Now we have much more and we're going to be posting more on our social media pages, so make sure that you follow us over there. 100 miles of hail. That's what I called this forecast today. Now, if we move on to the forecast the rest of the afternoon, what we're watching for is a front that will sweep across the East Coast. This is going to bring some strong winds and even some potential hail for places down in Nashville. For tomorrow, we have a brand new update here, an upgraded storm risk, a slight risk highlighted there in yellow. That's a level 2 risk across Kentucky and portions of northern Tennessee. And by Saturday, we move farther off to the East Coast with another high wind risk in this area. So we are expecting these strong to severe storms to continue as we head into the end of the week and this weekend. And we're even going to talk about some flooding that's coming up from the Pacific this weekend as well, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But what we're really watching for right now is this cold front with an associated low pressure system that's moving across the East Coast. We've got some rain ongoing right now, and I think that we even have a few showers and thunderstorms happening at the moment. I think you can see those highlighted there in yellow. Now what we're going to see over here is we're going to see hail once again possible for today. We're also going to see those high wind speeds. That will be the main issue today, is going to be that high wind. Current temperatures, man, we got a nice cool down thanks to this front. You know, the storms come first, the front comes after, or the cool down comes after rather. 74 right now in Oklahoma City, 68 in Kansas City, but it will get cooler for tomorrow. So if you're still waiting on that sweater weather, you may get that by tomorrow morning in some places. Now, talking about that hail risk today, you can see that highlighted there in yellow. We're taking you a little bit farther to the east than what we saw yesterday. We're going to be watching Tennessee and places like Kentucky for another round for strong storms that could produce some hail. Not as large as yesterday. We're not going to talk about baseball-sized hail again today. What we're watching for here is more of a classic setup this time of the year. We're watching for up to $50 size hail, anywhere from Chattanooga to Knoxville, Tennessee. We've also got a wind risk in play today. 65 to 70 mile per hour wind speeds are possible from Sioux Falls, South Dakota into places like northwestern Iowa, southwestern portion of Minnesota, but of course that main risk for strong storms, for strong wind speeds, is going to be across the East Coast, anywhere from Watertown to Baltimore, Roanoke, and then Chattanooga, of course, on the map as well. One thing that's interesting about this line of storms today is if you go a little bit farther to the south, you get a lot of that good rich moisture. You also get those warmer temperatures, and those storms are going to be a little bit more isolated. That's going to be more favorable for severe weather with large hail. Whereas farther up to the north, you're going to get a line of storms, and that's going to favor those strong wind speeds. So a tale of two different storm types today. Up to the north, we've got high wind. Down to the south, we have that hail risk. Your tornado risk today is just so low. It was not on the map today. No significant tornado risk this afternoon. Taking a look at the future radar here, we'll go through the timeline here of those showers and storms today. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, you guys are going to see a later round of showers and storms. Meanwhile, if you go out to the east, what we're watching for is storms ongoing right now and all the way into the afternoon and evening hours. There's that long line of storms that I was talking about, but if you see down to the south, as this gets a little bit more isolated, that's where you're going to get your hail risk. You really want those storms for hail to have a lot of room to be able to organize, a lot of room and a lot of time to organize themselves. That's what we saw in Wichita yesterday. And again, I'm not expecting that to happen again today. What I'm really watching for is that smaller hail. We call this pocket change hail. We could see a lot of it, but it's not going to be very big. Dime size, nickel size, penny size hail is what we're watching for today. And there's that hail risk farther down to the south, especially with some of these isolated storms. Alrighty, moving on, we're going to get to the Pacific and the Atlantic. We're going to start with the Pacific first, go to the Atlantic next, so talking tropics now. We have two hurricanes out in the Pacific. We've got Kiko, which could impact Hawaii over the next few days. That's a Category 4 hurricane right now, a major hurricane over there. And then we've got another hurricane, you can see that highlighted there in red. That's Lorena, that is moving up to the north, expected to make landfall in New Mexico by Friday or Saturday. So over the next 48 hours, we should expect that to make landfall. But really what this is doing, and the impact to the U.S. here, is going to be that moisture that it brings up to places like New Mexico, Arizona, and actually this is actually going to carry over into places like Texas and Oklahoma, giving us plenty of moisture as we head into the rest of, or the early portion of next work week. So here's your excessive rainfall outlook for today. You can see that monsoonal rain likely to be ongoing in places like Arizona and New Mexico, California, with all of that moisture. But then as we head into Saturday and Sunday and we get that Pacific moisture into places like the Southern Plains, Texas and Oklahoma will be included in this flood risk. So just something to note there. Alrighty, moving on, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're expecting for tomorrow. You've got another line of storms for tomorrow. Again, I told you that that risk was upgraded from a level 1 to a level 2 in places like Tennessee and Kentucky tomorrow. So you've got 2 rounds of storms there, 1 today and 1 tomorrow. There's your slight risk highlighted in yellow. We'll go through this just very quickly because I want to get out to the Atlantic. Nice cold front coming through. This is going to bring us the cooler temperatures. I know that some people felt the impacts of the cold front yesterday. You know, that's what helped to initiate a lot of these storms yesterday in places like Wichita and just south of Kansas City. But you're not really going to feel the cold air until tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow has a really good chance for some of our cities to be warmer in the morning and cooler in the afternoon. So your Friday evening plans, you may need a jacket for. There's your risk on Friday. We go out to the east on Saturday. But I want to take you farther to the east, and I want to get you into the Atlantic now. We officially have identified Invest 91L. Now, a lot of people ask, what's the difference between an Invest, a tropical depression, a tropical storm, a hurricane, right? We have all of these different labels for these storms. And basically what the National Hurricane Center has said is that an Invest is interesting enough. There's something that's going to happen, promising, most likely some sort of tropical depression or tropical storm within the next few days, that they call it an invest so that hurricane hunters can come out and get more information on the storm. So we've got a lot more data once we identify this as an invest. That's what we have right now, Invest 91L, basically signifying that we've got a low pressure system that's organizing itself rather quickly here. In this area, highlighted in red, somewhere in there, it has a really good chance of becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm. That's whenever it gets named to Gabrielle. 50% chance for that to happen within the next 2 days. That may be a little bit early, but as we head into the early portion of the weekend, we will most likely have our next named storm. Still in the Atlantic right now. We're not quite sure what exactly the impacts are going to be to the U.S. A lot could change between now and then. So I struggle to show long-term outlooks, because long-term models, because so much could change. But really what we're watching for is we know that this storm is going to continue to track to the west, getting closer and closer to the U.S. But what it does as it reaches some of our outer islands here, we're not quite sure. Will this continue to track to the west and go into places like the Gulf, or is this going to take a turn up to the north similar to Erin? We're not quite sure. It's too far out. But I like to show these models because it really does show you how far out we are. We will probably not know those answers, the answers to the questions that I just asked, until at least the middle of next week. So we've got several more days until we get more information on this storm. This is the Euro model, I think, and it's taking it into the Dominican right now. So here's what we know. We know that we will probably have some sort of tropical depression or tropical storm over the next 5 to 7 days, probably a little bit earlier than that. Our next named storm is Gabrielle, Humberto after that, Imelda following that, and we expect to get all the way at least to Lorenzo for this year. Now our average number of named storms, I think it's 14. I say this just about every forecast. I don't know how, I don't have this memorized yet. An average season, we'll get about 14 named storms. 7 of those named storms will become hurricanes, and 3 of those hurricanes will be major hurricanes. This last year, so this past season, overperformed, had more named storms than normal, more hurricanes than normal, more major hurricanes than normal, and we're expecting to be about average or slightly above average for this coming season as well, or this current season that we're in right now. 12 to 17 named storms is what we're expecting for this season, 6 to 10 of those to become hurricanes, and 2 to 3 of those to be major hurricanes. And we still have plenty of time left in the season. We're just about a week before peak hurricane season right now. We're going to see that activity probably slow down as we head into October, but we have the entire month of September to get a lot of hurricane activity in. That's exactly what we saw last year. We had a very slow start last year, but finally by the middle of September, we saw storm after storm after storm after storm, and then that started to slow down in late October. So there's your hurricane forecast. Let's move back to the states and let's go into temperatures now. As I mentioned, those cooler temperatures will most likely arrive by tomorrow. So if it doesn't feel like fall-like weather out there yet for your state, it most likely will tomorrow. You can see some of those purples and blues moving into our map here, signifying that we are likely to have temperatures 10 to 20 degrees below average for this time of the year. That's not going away anytime soon. We are likely to see that stick around all the way through the end of this weekend and maybe even a portion of next week. But I'm interested to see the long-term models here. I actually haven't looked at this yet. This is what we saw back in August. We said fall is here for a little bit, and it's going to be an extended, start to fall. Usually we have like a week of cooler temperatures and then it goes right back up to the heat. No, we had about a month of cooler temperatures this year, but the heat is coming. We are going to see warmer temperatures, most likely by the middle to the end of September. So don't put away those t-shirts quite yet. You may need them as we head into the end of this month. We're also likely to see a break in that wet weather that we've been seeing over the last few weeks. We'll see a break in that for a little bit, and then that'll move back in as well by the end of the month. And there's your forecast today. Any weather questions before we hop off of here this afternoon? I don't see any. I'm shocked, especially with a 5-star day. I'm shocked that there are no weather questions, but of course, if you have any weather questions, put that in the chat below. or put it in one of our other posts. We have had some really cool hail videos, some really cool storm videos from yesterday. We're going to continue to post those throughout the next few days as well. We actually have several different things planned to break down those storms yesterday. So if you missed it during this forecast, make sure that you follow us and hit that button that alerts you of notifications whenever we post, because we're going to have some really cool things happening over the next few days to break down this Wichita storm. We're going to bring in people like Derek Klein, our CEO here at Hail Trace, and he's going to give his expert insight into this storm, or these two storms from Wichita as well. Alrighty, let's go ahead and say goodbye here. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get lunch. I'm sure you guys are as well. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. You saw those maps at the very beginning of the forecast. All of those storms are completely updated and QC'd by our meteorologist here at Hail Trace. So give us a call if you're interested at 855-334-4245, or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Head over to our website, hailtrace.com, for more information. Alrighty, we'll see you back here for the forecast. Same time, same place tomorrow.